Bitcoin hitting its highest levels since May, ahead of El Salvador's official adoption of Bitcoin as legal currency.
Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve chairman, came and said, we're not going to ban Bitcoin, we're not going to back cryptocurrency. And I think that was a big booster.
Out there in the field with a greater lifestyle and hope of surviving than these idiots, because they're gorging themselves on lies. The jig is up. President of a Latin American country armed with volcano energy is calling out Wall Street and the whole financier class.
Right, Max. Well, if you don't get it by now, after 10 years of Keiser report telling you about Bitcoin, you're never going to make it. NGMI. Nayib Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, tweeted about, in response to a CNN piece pushing the fact that markets are near all-time highs. Wall Street just doesn't get it. The earnings are not real. It's just more money being issued with the same amount of stocks. A real crisis is coming in the supply chains. Products, ports, fuels, ships, trucks, factories, workers, parts, resources. It's right in front of us.
Right. Well, Bukele, president of El Salvador, the George Washington of the 21st century, as I like to call him, he's onto something there. Stock prices are only going up because the money printing that's going on behind the scenes. This is why Venezuelan stock market hit new all-time highs. This is why Zimbabwe and Iran stock markets are hitting highs, because they print a lot of money there and the value of their currency is collapsing. What I would add is that when you make a statement like that, such as, hey, you know, the stocks are not actually worth anything, the companies aren't improving their earnings in any way, why would anyone buy these things, even with printed money? And the answer is that the companies themselves are buying their own stock with the money printed from the central bank to make the executive stock options go up by incredible amounts of percentage points. So that's really the full picture, is that it's not only just bad economics, it's outright fraud. Unlike in the Soviet Union days, where the world was more differentiated along regional and lines, and geopolitical or even geographic factors came into effect. Because we live in a virtual digital world now, the rate of enlightenment and the rate of Satoshi enlightenment that comes with Bitcoin, it's uneven. So someone like Bukele, the president of El Salvador, can have his Satoshi moment, and because the world is digital, he can call up Jack Mallers over at the Strike app, and he can come and live in El Salvador for 3 months and totally wire the country. They're signing up 100,000 people a day. They're going to be hyper-Bitcoinized within a year. That means that the GDP is going to double or triple, and it's the only country in the world right now that's worth really talking about. Everybody else, because they're on a fiat money standard, it's like talking about countries in the medieval ages that are trying to make do with mud and sticks, really. I mean, he's the only modern country right now, and the IMF has been obliterated. He's going to pay off his IMF loans with volcano bonds, and the World Bank looks stupid, and Paul Krugman of the New York Times looks really dumb, and Nouriel Roubini was absolutely wrong, and you know, Bitcoin's going to 5 million.
Of course, you know, Nayib Bukele came really into prominence and in the United States because of Nick Carter on that Twitter Spaces. And Nayib Bukele jumped on there, and they you know, announced this deal, right, to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. So Nick Carter also has a tweet here that I want to read in terms of this: you're never going to make it if you don't get Bitcoin yet. So he wrote, "I can't believe Bitcoin is going up!" Exclamation point. This is the likes of Paul Krugman, the likes of Peter Schiff, the likes of Michael Burry, who took a massive short position out on Bitcoin.
Have a real-time reenactment of the sinking of the Titanic on YouTube, and it took 2 hours and 40 minutes. Now, Bitcoin is the iceberg. The Titanic is the fiat money world, the globalized, neoliberal, Washington consensus, post-World War II, Federal Reserve Bank-dominated global economy. 2008, 2009, it hits the Bitcoin iceberg. And if you watch the Titanic reenactment on YouTube video, it's quite excellent. You know, for the first over 2 hours, people are still wandering around in a state of disbelief, and they're still playing the music down in the ballroom. The people in the rich cabins are still smoking cigars and wondering at the novelty of all the snow on deck and everything. It's not until the last 10 minutes that suddenly people are like, hey, where's the lifeboats? We're all dying. And, you know, that's where we're at now. We're at that moment now where you've got, like, Jamie Dimon is literally in the frigid North Atlantic, you know, about to freeze to death. And I know it sounds gruesome, but I can't stop laughing.
That's the thing, is like the CNN, that the headline that Nayib Bukele was responding to, where he was the one telling everybody, get out to the lifeboat. Dude, it's like, it seems great. Yes, CNN's cheerleading and telling you how amazing it is. They were saying Friday marked the end of a 3-day winning streak for U.S. stocks, but all three major indexes ended the week solidly in the green, with the Dow having its best week since late June. The Dow is now just 2% below the all-time high it hit in August. At the end of the day, capitalism is about individual self-interest, and my individual self-interest is to accumulate as much Bitcoin as I have. I am super, super happy. The audience, tiny though it is, of CNN, is not fighting me to buy Bitcoin, because therefore my Biden bucks would go less far than they are.
When I go to the airport and I see people watching CNN, I say, never going to make it. I just look at all these people sitting around waiting for their flights. They're watching CNN. I'm like, I mean, I've seen cows grazing out there in the field with a greater lifestyle and hope of surviving than these idiots, because they're gorging themselves on lies.
So JP Morgan, as you mentioned, Jamie Dimon is the CEO, and he's had a long failed relationship with Bitcoin. He was one of the first of the CEOs of a major bank to diss it over and over back in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And now here we are in 2021, and we see this, institutions buying Bitcoin rather than gold as inflation cranks up. JP Morgan. According to JP Morgan, this week's rally has been driven by institutional investors hedging against inflation with Bitcoin. Now, that's important. Institutional investors are following on the high net worth individuals who have already been buying Bitcoin. Remember, JP Morgan and other big banks offered Bitcoin to their high net worth individuals last year and the year before. They've been buying Bitcoin cheaper, right? Then the institutions come, they follow the executives of these institutions who were already buying Bitcoin a few years ago. Then the institutions come. Then you have the masses who watch CNN, are sitting there watching CNN, looking at the stock price go up because all the Biden bucks and all the, Jay Powell pumping up the stock price. And they think that's what they should be looking at. That's the distraction from the institutions, the wealthy.
Yeah, well, my understanding is over there at JP Morgan headquarters on Park Avenue in New York City, whenever Jamie gets into the elevator with other board members, they fart. And then they start laughing in his face. And nobody listens to him. And all the employees have a picture of him with a little dartboard. And he's the laughing stock of Wall Street. He's the laughing stock at JP Morgan. And he's on his way out, by the way. Jamie, the board is, you're out, buddy.